Okay, folks, turn 50. We have cracked the fort at Valador instantaneously with our huge pile of units. We also got 350 gold for it. Pretty neat. You the Fish Now Dog is teleported up here, is grabbing a bunch more troops and a bunch of death gems to teleport up to Valador, where we will hopefully spring our trap. We've got Caelum the Fomorian King over here in the Wood of Many Paths. I'm sure he's going to come back and try to attack us. So, what we're gonna do here is... this whole army is storming the castle, and we're teleporting in You the Fish Now Dog. You the Fish, excuse me, almost choked to death, is casting Life After Death. So, all of my Lobo Guard that die will turn into soulless when they die. In order to counteract the Wailing Winds, of course, we have my dude here casting Growing Fury, which he has the gems to do. After that, my communion will, I think, explode. Life After Death and Growing Fury are both fairly high fatigue, and most of these guys don't have either nature or death. So after that, the communion's probably going to go boom, but that's okay. That'll just be okay. Zopcast is going to communion slave. Tuxa, actually, I'm also going to communion slave and have him come running on in. But between the Growing Fury and the people turning into soulless, I think we should be able to beat whatever tries to stop us, and hopefully kill Knocker finally. And that should enable us to clean up the rest. He's got goals, the Demi-Lich, but that at that point will be his only remaining power, and we'll be able to sweep in, clean up these guys, and finally have our everything. Now, Helheim, Niefelheim, Hinnom, and now Tianqi are all AI. So we got a lot of AIs. Tianqi is going down in an earlier round. Rus is sort of resurging a little bit, since they have a little bit of room to grow now into Tianqi. I'm not sure if they're at war with Ulm or not. I really should have gone after Ulm pretty early, but you know what? We'll take him out at some point here. Research-wise, we're still second, directly behind Therodos, and we've been attacked by skeletons. The Bone Zone is now ongoing, given that the Throne of Bones has been claimed, which causes the continuous Bone Zone to occur. So, we lost both those fights, but we're going to clean them up. We're sending Shokalatruda up here to clean up that one, and we're breaking siege with a bunch of troops here. So, should be a good old time. That's about all we're doing. We're still researching up towards Thaumaturgy 9, which hopefully will be all kinds of fun once we get it. And we do have that one province, Cerulean Sea. So you know what? We're going to do a little bit of speculative teleporting. We've got the most interesting Aboleth, and we've got Updog. And they are both going to teleport. Boink. And boink. And they are going to have water gems. And water gems. And so, they're going to summon water power, and then, yeah, just spam water elementals, and that should be fine. We'll set them way in the back. Underwater PD tends to be fairly fast, but by setting them way in the back like that, they'll definitely be able to summon a couple of water elementals. It's just occurred to me that You the Fish Now Dog won't actually be able to take all those 90 troops with him when he teleports. I'm dumb, don't be like me, so instead what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to split these guys up amongst those various units. Various commanders, rather. And, all those commanders will begin moving towards the front. So that'll hit my research a little bit, but it's still 1300, I'll be fine. Okay, that's about all I'm doing this turn. Quick turns lately in pretty much all of my games, but you know what? That's just how it is sometimes. I do have a bunch of polypal spawn here. We'll see what we want to do with them when the time comes. And we're still recruiting a bunch of Lobo Guard plus a Triton Knight. What do you have? 17 resources. There, make it a fourth Triton. Oh no, I'm out of recruitment points. That was why I was doing the Lobo Guard, because they're recruitment point cheap. Okay, that's the plan. See y'all on turn 51. Alright, folks, turn 51, we've finally made some real concrete progress in that we have taken Valador. Now, Valador's unrest is sky high and its income is low, but we have finally captured it. In fact, he didn't really bother to defend it. I think he guessed that this force would be too powerful for him to stop. So instead, his Fomorian kings have gone away somewhere. I don't know exactly where. Perhaps they may have just run back to Fomoria, although I don't see them there either. So I'm not sure entirely what happened. There is a single Melia here in Troll Peaks. We're going to take Wood of Many Paths and Timeless Waste to get the gem income. So we've got a Pearl there and a Fire gem there. And then down here we've got a Fire, a Water, a Death, and an Air gem. So that would be great. Now, this turn, Pangaea cast Gift of Health, which is great for them, but not super dangerous for us. However, I also just noticed something that I'm not sure if I just didn't notice or I forgot to mention or what. Therodos has had Well of Misery up for a few turns now. If we look at the score graphs, which of course I can see, in terms of gem income, Therodos, that looks like 3 turns ago, Therodos put up Well of fucking Misery, which is very, very dangerous and generally very bad. My gem income is significantly lower than theirs. In terms of income, I'm doing pretty okay. In terms of forts, I'm eh. In terms of provinces, I'm eh. In terms of research, I'm actually second. In terms of army size, I'm eh. And Dominion, I'm eh. But, yeah. That's bad. That's very bad. Now, it still doesn't make Therodos a leader, but it's bad. I don't like it. I don't want them to have that. I need gems. I need to take gems away from them, if at all possible. That floating rock here we want to take back. We're going to take it back by just sending Pulu with a whole bunch of units. So Pulu will go wipe that out. Jakalor will come over here with his troops. We're going to layer some more province defense back into that province. Ungai has gotten a disease somehow, which is unfortunate because that means that he'll probably die. My Dominion is being pushed back by Patch to the Future. Which is unfortunate. That's, of course, goals right there. And that is fond memories. So in any case, as to what's going on right now. So Pangaea has Gift of Health, which will make him defensively quite tough. But generally speaking, I'm not going to be attacking Pangaea anyway, so that's okay. Ulm is expanding dramatically into AI Helheim's territory. AI Tianqi is essentially destroyed. Ulm is going to end up with a throne there, and probably will have a throne here in fairly short order. So that's worth keeping an eye on. Rus, I think, is still at peace with him and has the Throne of the Sun surrounded but not claimed. I would really, really like to get in on some of this land taken action myself. That's right there. Is AI, and this is actually a super, super valuable province. So what I'm thinking is I might Deep Strike teleport to 113. I mean, I want to take Timeless Waste, I do, but what I can do is I could potentially move up dog and the most interesting ableth. Oh, by the way, I did a really stupid thing last turn. You the Fish Now dog tried to teleport onto land without actually having an Amulet of the Fish, and so drowned. I don't know how I forgot to give her a fucking Amulet of the Fish, but I did, so great. Cerulean Sea we conquered with no problem. There don't appear to be any found sites in it, so we're going to actually site search there. And then I need to build a lab, but I don't have any cash at the moment. Let's cancel that Mind Lord, replace it with a Slave Mage. Down here, we're going to cancel our Triton Knights that we're recruiting. That will give us the 500 gold. So then we're going to build a lab, and then we'll be able to gateway to Cerulean Sea and march out of Cerulean Sea to attack Reed. So, speaking of marching out of Cerulean Sea to attack Reed, we've got these 126 troops there that are staying there. We've got these guys that are staying there. These guys, everyone who's not moving, should research to keep my research up. Interestingly, by the way, Ulik Beg, I've been talking about how I've mentioned he has a disease a long time ago. He's now had this disease for a long time. His hit points are still high. I think it's because he keeps ending up in combat, where a Communion Master with Nature casts personal regeneration on the Communion, and he's a Communion slave. So he keeps just regenerating and not dying. Right now, he has a limp, a chest wound, he's weakened, he's lost an eye, he has a never-healing wound, and battle fright, all because of his disease. So he's just in atrocious shape, and he won't die. He just keeps regenerating. It's sort of hilarious and sort of sad. Unrest is too high to do anything here, so we are going to take these boys, give them to these boys, and both of these boys will actually patrol to cut that unrest down. And then we got all these guys moving on up. And we have this Mind Lord who we have not yet renamed, but we're going to teleport him. He's going to teleport to... Can he teleport to Antediluvian? Yeah, he can teleport to Actually, let's just teleport to Lake Vastness, move these guys back to Lake Vastness, and then he'll grab all those troops in Gateway. So we'll land a huge army over here in Cerulean Sea in 2 turns, and then march into Rid, break it, and conquer this province for its delicious gem income. Because its gem income is quite high, actually. We've got 2 death, 1 air, 1 astral, 1 fire, and 1 water. So that's a very significant gem income boost. That's like, what is that, 6 gems, 7 gems? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's 6 gems out of that province. 3 gems out of that province. I'm sorry, 4 gems out of that province. And then also 2 gems out of that province. So, like, increasing my income by 10 gems will be pretty significant, given that my total gem income right now is, like, I think less than 40. That would be a big leap. And that will be the plan. So the most interesting aboleth, actually, I'll tell you what, you build the lab. You need to site search because you have death 1. No, you don't need to site search. You can build a lab. And that'll be fine. Oh, you have Earth, so we'll want you to site search as well at some point. But we'll take that. We'll take Rid. And, yeah, we'll see how things go. Caelum seems to be staging something of a comeback. They are re-besieging their own capital, as well as Lomark. So they should be able to take that away, hopefully, and get the Lilium Vale and this mist-covered highlands back. I'm just really hoping that Caelum can successfully fight off Therodos. I'm actually going to contact them this coming turn. This turn is about to roll, which is why I need to send this in now, because I've been lazy and also very, very busy. It's been a super busy week. I've been working a ton of overtime. But we'll contact Caelum, make an agreement with them so that they can fight Therodos, and I can be their friend. And, of course, in the meantime, we're going to take this. We're gonna prepare before we go in against Fomoria, but we're going to set up to attack Fomoria, and while we also clean up this. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in turn 52. Alright, folks, it's turn 52, and this was a much more satisfactory turn. We cast our various teleports, we attacked Timeless Waste, and caught his Fomorian Kings. Both of Fomoria's Fomorian Kings were caught here in Timeless Waste, and we actually killed one of them. This is the power of the Water Elemental Raid against somebody who's not prepared for it. These guys, being Water 4, can churn out a lot of Water Elementals, which is what they do here. They summoned, I think, 7 or 8 Water Elementals. And 7 or 8 Water Elementals is enough to just absolutely give the business to any real, like, a lot of troops. A large number of troops can be killed by 8 Water Elementals, which is what they do here. They fight their way right through this Skelispan. After killing all of the enemy, we actually mind-controlled a Fomorian warrior. And then they charge on back here to the enemy, and they catch Knokr the Prophet. Now, Knokr does actually have a disease, so he is already dying. But he and his buddy here foolishly stood against the fishmen and get clubbed to death for their troubles. Now, Queeman does manage to run with 33 hit points remaining, and he gets away. But, watch, so he got away. We wiped out the army pretty much without loss, just spent some gems. But then Caelum jumped onto the Wood of Many Paths, where Queeman had retreated to. And poor Queeman is standing here with no gems and no equipment. And he gets his mist form off, and he summons Storm Power, which doesn't actually help him. And then he gets fucking evaporated by a lance charge. So, good night, sweet prince. And then we accidentally bump in the Woods of Many Paths, because we launched our troops over there as well. Unfortunately, they jumped to the back here. And sadly, they kill 3 of my slave mages before I can wipe them out. But, it happens. These things just happen. There was also a battle at Underhome. We cleared the enemy off of Underhome, so we've gotten that back, and we've gotten our air gem income back, which is pretty freaking fantastic. We're going to move this army down south to Endless Ocean. We're going to put another point of province defense back in there. Recruitment is slow. We're besieged in Deep Blue. I don't really mind, because, as I said, recruitment is slow right now. We are going to take... I mean, we've got some troops here that we could go and kill them with. We could take Enquinoc, I guess. We can launch Enquinoc up there, and we've got... also Enquinoc, hilariously enough. With his Polypal Spawn. And he could have some Slave Guardians as well, I guess. Yeah, so we'll send other Enquinoc. So it'll be the Enquinoc party here. We'll send them in to roust these guys out. You guys will attack rear. And there we go. That should be fine. That should wipe out the undead. No real trouble. Okay, so a distinct blow against Fomoria. We've killed their 2 Fomorian kings. They probably can't really recruit them much anymore. They are still trying to hold on to these provinces, but that's not likely to continue. Therodos does have a large army here that's been pushed off of Caelum. About 500 ghosts led by a Telkine. They also have a lot of provinces here in the center. So they own Histra, they own Zoglia, and they're attacking Raphabolia. Now, I have made a deal with Caelum. He's going to feed me a whole bunch of Astral Pearls, and I'm going to use them to dispel Well of Misery, to get rid of that from Therodos, in order to prevent Therodos from having a ton of gem income. My gem income has gone up some since I've claimed these provinces. This province, it looks like I haven't seen any sites here, so let's just search for magic sites real quick. You can search for magic sites. Yeah, let's search for magic sites real quick there. And we'll move these guys back. We're moving these guys back. We're going to get back to Valador, push down in, and then take another run at Fomoria, which I think, with my special sauce there, I can do. Takultu, right now Takultu is casting Gateway to hop into Cerulean Sea and prepare to attack Reed, which is a really, really valuable province that I talked about before. In particular, it generates a couple of death gems and another air gem, which would be very, very nice to have. Because my air gem income is pretty pathetic, and my death gem income also isn't great. And it generates more pearls. The Crystal Garden generates another pearl, so that would be pretty sweet too. But I'm not sure. I don't know. I just don't know. This province, incidentally, has been bogus, so that's sort of hilarious. But we've got these 2 guys here. They're casting Enslave Sea Trolls and Contact Sea Trolls, so we'll end up with a bunch of Sea Trolls plus 170 Lobo Guard. It might be worth doing. Also, while I'm thinking about it, in order to... Yeah, I haven't actually researched Construction 6, that's right. I should research Construction 6 at some point, just so that I can start building some Lightless Lanterns. But I'll hit Thaumaturgy level 9 in just 2 more turns, I think. And then after that, we will start rushing down Alteration, I believe is the plan. So yeah, I think we're doing pretty well, all things considered. Now, will we win the game? Probably not, but I mean, anything's possible. Hilariously, Hinnom's hero seems to still be alive and kicking and is actually besieging Hinnom to try and take it back from Agartha. Good luck with that, dude. Gold Mountains has been raided by Independence. He's got a Furbolg Fortress and a Gorge there. Yikes, that is 3 Earth Gems per turn out of that place. Yeah, he's just got gems for days. Just gems for absolute days. Magma Cave is a great site, too. So, yeah, we're going to push over here, grab these provinces, grab that province, and take Fomoria, which I think we can do with just hundreds of chaff set to... hundreds of chaff and mages sent berserk. I think we can fight our way through the Wailing Winds, and as long as we can fight our way through the Wailing Winds, I think we win. By spamming out water elementals and just letting our chaff fight, because his units aren't immune to damage from my chaff, and you have to actually be immune in order to make it there. We're also slowly bringing up these whites, and those whites will definitely perform a valuable function as the hard-hitting elite of our army. So, that's turn 52. I'll see y'all in turn 53. Okay, folks, so get this. It's turn 54. I staled last turn, hilariously enough, and also, the game's over. Yes, that's right. Agartha did it. They won. They claimed the thrones necessary. They double claimed the throne of Pestilence and the throne of the Sun, and got all of the turns they needed. Now, Ulm threw up Earthblood Deep Well at the same time, but at that point, it just didn't matter. So, yeah, the game's over. I knew Agartha was very close. I hadn't been paying much attention to exactly how close they were because, quite frankly, there was nothing I could do about it. Underwater like this, kind of caught in this place, there just wasn't a great deal that I could potentially have done to stop that. So I knew it was coming at some point, and I was just resigned to it either coming or not. I didn't particularly work to rally a coalition or anything against him, which would have been one way to prolong the game. To be honest, I'm pretty happy with a game that ends in the 50s somewhere. I think that's a nice long time. It's long enough for research to be important, but not, it's not long enough for everybody to hit all 9s, which I personally think is the most boring part of the game. But yeah, it was a solid ending, very, very well played to Agartha over here. He did a fantastic job. All throughout, just sort of methodically expanding with his unusual Hellbless Agartha strategy. Kris Lighthawk really did a good job with that. And I'm impressed with his play, and he definitely deserves the win. When it comes to my position, obviously, I mean, starting off as early age Agartha kind of... early age Relay, I'm sorry, I just got up. Playing as early age Relay sort of puts you in this position where you have to... Simultaneously, you have to move fast if you want to be relevant, but also you can't move fast by virtue of just being an underwater nation with no good way to get above ground. And I really struggled with that the whole game. By the end, I did have some above ground footholds secured, finally, but that took me 50 turns. And I mean, I certainly wasn't the most efficient. I wasn't as efficient as I could have been in all ways, but still, it was rough. And I don't think I could have done better. I could definitely have done better with it. In particular, I should have prosecuted the war with Fomoria much more efficiently. But overall, you know, it was a pretty good game. My only regret is that I didn't get the chance to activate my plans to turn on Therodos and finally fight the long-delayed, much-awaited Underwater Bowl. But hey, you know, sometimes things just happen this way. Let's look at the last graphs, shall we? So we can see in terms of provinces, Agartha is obviously way and hell out in front. I've just started to tick up, but I'm still very much middle of the pack. Ulm climbed precipitously a little while ago and then started to level off, but nobody matched Agartha's consistent expansion. You can see right about here. Actually, by back here, he was already well out ahead of the pack, but he just kept climbing. Actually, wait, no, that's the other line that I'm looking at. That's, who the hell is that? Agartha was down here, sort of in the pack. Around here, he started his breakout. And for the second half of the game, he's been, I would say, a distinct winner. Especially when you look at some other stats. In terms of forts, he was right up there with Therodos. In terms of income, he was up... It's just that Agartha was, like, top or near the top in most categories. Especially gem income. This is probably the most dramatic graph. Agartha was making bank when it comes to gems. A lot of heavy gem searching going into that, and he got a little bit lucky with that, but most of it was just that he was relentlessly taking provinces and using them. In terms of research, he wasn't even top 3 in research. I had actually surpassed Ulm in terms of research before the end of the game, and was second to Therodos. Therodos might have had 1 or 2 things at level 9, but in terms of research, I was right up there. Agartha was not. It just didn't matter to him. He did have more Dominion than anybody else, presumably because he had that powerful Hellbless that he was focusing on. And then his army size, of course, was nothing too terribly impressive. Interestingly, Pangaea was free-spawning the hell out of some Maenads, I can tell you what. And then, of course, in terms of Ascension points, he'd been working his way methodically up throughout the entire game, but just in the last few turns. First we had the spike right there, and then he grabbed his 2 thrones right at the end to take the whole ball game. And of course, I had my my 1 throne right there that I was happy with. So, a very good game. Excellent play to Kris Lighthawk. Very solid win. Great game to everybody else who joined me as well. I really enjoy running these games. Even if I do sometimes get tired with late game Dominions, which I do, but playing these games with subscribers and friends and stuff is just a lot of fun. So thank you so much to Kris Lighthawk, to Jakalor, who was playing Hinnom, to BiggFoot, who was playing Ulm, who I really should have attacked much earlier, to be honest, to Therodos, to Pangaea, everybody who joined me in this game. Thank you all so much. It really was a fun experience. I hope this has given at least a little bit more insight into what the difficulties of playing this kind of underwater nation are. They're just... And I mean, this was the situation that I found myself in. I just didn't have a good way to kind of affect the game. because my, getting out of the water was such a challenge. So I ended up pretty much, if you removed me from the game entirely, I honestly don't think a whole lot would have changed, except that Agartha would have gone underwater and had even more provinces. But you see what I mean. If Relay wasn't here, not a whole lot would have been different. Now, Fomoria would have been different, because I did fight that war with Fomoria, and I was slowly crushing them. But it was taking a very long time. Therodos, because they're all ghosts, did manage to get out of the water in a very effective way, and establish themselves as a pretty significant land power, take a lot of territory. They were fighting Caelum. That said, looking at the situation, I think they were losing to Caelum. They've got the capital under siege again with a big stack of ghosts, but I don't know. I think Caelum would have beaten them in the end. And, yep. That's about how it was. As Early Age Relay, you really struggle to make a difference in the wars on land. And you have to make a difference in the wars on land, because that's where the thrones are. So, it's an interesting experience. Like, if you can... I think succeeding as Early Age Relay kind of requires you to be either lucky or very diplomatically engaged. Like, one of the things that I could have done to try to extend this game would have been to try to raise a coalition against Agartha. And that might have been... I mean, if I wanted to extend the game into the 80s or 70s or whatever, and have a shot at it, that would have been the way to go. It would have been contact Pangaea, Rus, potentially Ulm, although Ulm can't really reach him, but definitely Pangaea and Rus. And hopefully Tianqi until Tianqi went AI. And get them to focus their attention along with me on Agartha. That might have, if we'd done it with the right timing, prevented him from taking those last few thrones and clinching the game. Even so, though, I think Agartha was just too far ahead to really matter. And I don't think even in that situation I would have been successful at putting myself in a position to win the game. Just because my territory was too small. Numerically, my province count was too small. My gem income was too low. It just wasn't going to be effective. And so I just kind of focused on my wars, and I was like, well, if Agartha wins the game, then he wins the game. If I can manage to take Fomoria and prosecute my other wars over here, and the game hasn't been won yet, then I'll take another look at the situation and think about what I would need to do to keep that going. But in any case, thank you all so much once again for watching. Thank you so much, everyone, for playing. And I will see you in the next game. Oh, but before we go, actually, the Agarthan player has actually sent me his last turn file. So let's take a look at that real quick. Okay, so Kris Lighthawk's last turn. Hinnom's mercenaries attacked him, apparently. A Mound King with Long Dead and Vampires. This is a fairly significant army attacking Gold Mountains. So he was attacking a lot of independents, even right at the very end. We can see here AI sallying against an army of Caelum. Unexpected events. And then... Wait, is this the last turn? This is the turn before the last turn, so this is his position just as he went in for the claim. So you can see he's got... Let me see where his thrones are. Let me just take everything else out here. I like how he's renamed all of his major commanders. That's nice. So he's got that throne up there. That throne right there is being held. He's got a Bone Reader there with the Air Death Crosspath. He's actually deep struck into the Throne of the Sun. So yeah, that was just a that was just a deep strike of some kind with a whole bunch of thugs. So he's got very, very heavily geared thug oracles, which is honestly a good idea, especially with if you have that Hellbless, like he does, then these guys are actually quite potent, because they've got, so I don't know why he's using a Coral Blade as a weapon, presumably just for max survivability. He's got a lot of protection, and some cold resistance. He's got the Squitata Volturnus, which is an excellent shield. It auto-casts Shocking Grasp, so it automatically electrocutes people to death. A Dancing Trident for extra repels. He's got Winged Shoes so he can fly, a Girdle of Might for reinvigoration. And then, of course, he has Earth Magic, so he can drop, you know, Iron Skin or Stone Skin on himself to buff his protection up into the 30s. And he can throw Earth Power. Now, the weakness of this kind of build is that its encumbrance is sky high, especially when you're cold-blooded in the cold. So casting spells will rapidly wear you out, and fighting in melee will rapidly wear you out. But that's still the kind of thing that requires pretty specific counters. Like, especially when you have 3 or 4 of these guys. I wouldn't thug a Spectral Mage like this, but, you know, if your enemy isn't prepared for you to thug a Spectral Mage like this, it can be effective. So, yeah, if you can get away with this, then go for it. It's a lot of gems to put on a fairly fragile undead chassis. All it needs is 1 Death 3 casting Witherbones and you're fucked. But in any case, if you know the enemy doesn't have that capability, then yeah, go for it. When you've got 4 thugs of this quality with this kind of gem expenditure concentrated in the same province, it really doesn't matter that they're super high encumbrance and vulnerable to being ground down, because the enemy isn't going to be able to grind you down. They can't concentrate the forces on each one to stop them. So, I mean, if you send in an army that's tailored to kill this guy, well, yeah, it might be able to kill this guy, but it probably can't kill this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy all at the same time. And then they've also got this guy who's carrying extra items and gems to support them in stealth, so that he can swap things out and send one of them berserk if he needs to, so that he can... I don't know why he's carrying a crystal coin. He must have picked it up from a battle. Yeah, that's what happens. He sent in these guys to clear the garrison. So if we watch that battle, you can see what I mean about these guys being hard to concentrate on. He also had... He had an Ulm Sage thugged. Now that's just silly. Why does this alchemist have all this gear? He was just fucking around at this point. He must have been. I mean, seriously, that's ridiculous. Hilarious, but ridiculous. I love it. So, yeah, and then he had a Bear Tribe Shaman geared to cast nature spells as well. So what did that Bear Tribe Shaman cast? Shock resistant 10, shock resistant 25. Yeah, he had these guys geared for max shock resistance, so that they would stand up to the charge by the Springhawks, which is fair. You know, very valid. Oh, and that guy is dropping regeneration on all of his thugs. Presumably to push them up to 20% regeneration? I'm not sure. In any case, so, yeah, all of these, tons of Knights of the Chalice. Interesting. So yeah, his thugs took damage, but they were beefy enough that they weren't going to die. And so, they could just stand here in the middle of this army and fight without really worrying too much about it. If this Hill Giant hit them with the Great Club, they would take some pretty significant damage, but beyond that, nobody here is really going to hurt these thugs much. And you can see what's happening here. They're just not, you know, they're just not falling over. They're 20% regenerating. They're thick. They've got all kinds of hit points. They've been enlarged. They've got their Bless on them, all their defensive stats, Prot 28. Yeah, he has Encumbrance 12, but he has 8 Reinvigoration, so his fatigue is actually quite low. That's actually interesting. Why is his fatigue that low? Because he's got 9 Encumbrance and 7 Reinvig. So it should be going up, because he's fighting every round. Yeah, I guess it is going up. Just very, 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 very slowly. Nope, now it's cleared out again. Yeah, that is interesting. That guy's stunned, but it doesn't really matter. He's just regenerating too fast to be killed. So, yeah, you can see how effective this kind of super combatant goon squad is. Well, I mean, these guys aren't really super combatants. There certainly are plenty of counters to them, but when it comes to taking out an indie throne, these guys work just fine, and when it comes to fighting enemy armies who aren't geared to deal with them, these guys will work just fine. So, it's definitely an interesting strategy, and it really paid off for him in this case. And yeah, that's about it. With when he claimed the thrones. So he claimed the throne of the sun, and then he also claimed the throne of... That one has already been claimed. What was the other throne that he claimed? On the last turn, it wasn't the throne of fire. It wasn't the throne of bones. He claimed the Bone Zone throne a while back. It was the throne of pestilence. So that was another deep strike, but this time by a very large army. And these guys weren't geared for super combatant. They just had items on them. I don't know why he would give this guy a Shambler skin, however, but I guess he just had one, so might as well. Kitharonic Lion Pelt. Yeah, if you just have these items sitting around, then you may as well use them. And, yeah, and he had a Sleeper that he summoned for leadership. And this was a pretty significant army. Lots and lots of Magma Kids. And a bunch of Mandragores. He broke into death in a very effective way, and then he used his Seal Guards very heavily. His Seal Guards and his Ancient ones. Since with his Bless, with a Bless that big, they actually are very potent troops. Honestly, I'm impressed with how he did that. It was an excellent idea. It might be worth exploring in more detail for some of the time. This poor guy. Wow. Yikes. Didn't lose any magic. Well, no, actually he did. Never mind. He's a mute. He's a mute, and yet he's Earth 3. That is terrifying. In any case, so very, very interesting. Good stuff. He didn't actually have a whole lot of scouting either. Interesting, interesting, interesting. But in any case, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next game. Congratulations once again to Kris Lighthawk, and we'll look forward to... My next few games are going to be smaller. These large games, they just take too much time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down to probably like 8-player games with relatively few thrones. You know, short fights. Games where nobody is really expected to reach level 9 research. And we'll just see how we can go from there. Ah, the Miraculous Cure-All Elixir. This guy probably got a disease, and that was what was wrong with him. But in any case, I'll see y'all in the next one. Take care.